Welcome to the wrap-up presented by AT&T. Monica McNutt, Ari Chambers, Courtney Cronin with you here at Mortgage Matchup Center in Phoenix, Arizona. The UCLA Bruins are moving on to the national championship game, defeating Texas 51-44. One of the stars of the game joining us here, senior guard Kiki Rice, 11 points, 5 boards. In the fourth quarter, your head coach, Corey Close, apologized to fans. She said that this is effectively a rock fight out there. She called it a rugby game. What was it like being a part of a defensive battle like that tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks up at halftime and it was 20-something to 17.
Yeah.
It was really low scoring, but just being able to kind of play whatever the game gives us, and that was a defensive battle today. Texas is a really great defensive team, and we're a really good defensive team as well. So, just finding opportunities to score when we can, but just knowing that this game is going to be won on the defensive end.
Let's stick to Coach Corey Close's words. She mentioned how you're the hardest working person on the team, and you inspire other people to work hard. So what did that hard work look like tonight for you?
Just doing whatever it took to help this team win. It doesn't always have to be scoring, doesn't always have to be, picking up on defense, but just whatever the small little things that it took. So today, I think just kind of inspiring, leading, keeping this team collected and calm in the big moments. And we just all really took pride in, having really, really good next play speed and being able to reset and play hard.
Well, Kiki, we so appreciate your patience and hanging out with us to open our show, but we are getting wrapped hard.
Yeah, I mean, you guys go celebrate, honey. Go ahead. The girls were talking, okay?
Yeah, we want you to go celebrate with the rest of that Bruins
I want to
squad.
turn up with my team, and I understand. I understand.
And it's
You can go over
And
there,
it's going to
They
be
got
an
you.
incredible couple of days here as you get ready for the national championship game. It will be South Carolina and it will be UCLA.
Yeah.
I know that we talked a lot about our Final Four picks and what our national championship picks were going to be before the game. You and I got UCLA right. Monica was on the other end of that here with Uconn. So why don't we take a look further into this game as we get into what happened tonight between UCLA and Texas. Like starting out from the very top level. We talked about this rock fight element here, the defensive battle. Were you expecting it to look like that?
Ooh. So it's funny because when I look at teams who are centered in defense, I do anticipate low-scoring games. But when you look up at the first quarter and have one of the lowest-scoring games ever, I think Texas only had 6 points. Well, first of all, I thought that would be flipped based on the identity of the teams. But the fact that throughout the entirety of it, I didn't just see lockdown defense. I saw kind of a lapse in body language with the passes, the just sloppy passing, not really taking care of the ball. The turnovers were present. You can attribute that to defensive pressure, but at some point, it was just mismatched, missed the line.
Well, I think Kiki nailed it. You have two defensive teams coming in, and two good defensive teams make you look out of character to the things that you're talking about, Ari. And so I thought that in the last 2 minutes of the game, when it did become a two-possession ball game and a single-possession ball game for a second there, you saw sort of the best of Texas. But the thing about it is you've got to have momentum when you get to a fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
And I felt like UCLA was the team that was thoroughly comfortable with mucking this game up, making it ugly, making it gritty, leaning into the rock fight element of it all. And so I think that's why they'll go on to play in the championship game versus South Carolina.
Hey, we talked about how much of a win margin these teams have had, so it can be very uncomfortable when you're operating from a point of not only deficit, but such a slim margin. But the team that's not afraid to get there and get gritty. Lauren Betts emphasized the fact they wanted to make it dirty. They wanted to add the pressure. They wanted to assert their dominance, but it wasn't dominance per se. They asserted their identity. They really brought the pressure.
And we will have a highlight here momentarily. Lauren Betts with a huge block on the defensive end to seal that game. The pressure that she put on Madison Booker throughout. But the rest of Texas, it was Rory Harmon and then it was everyone else. What did you both attribute the shooting struggles that Texas had tonight to?
Well, the defense. I think it goes to the defense. I thought that play that you're alluding to, Courtney, down the stretch was just sort of emblematic of what we saw the entire game. We talked about it in our pregame show. These teams came in here with a 100-point differential, each of them, all four of them, and that includes this Texas squad. So I think they were really, really uncomfortable with how slow and how gritty the game was. Similar to what we saw South Carolina do to Uconn, I thought UCLA made the Longhorns put the ball on the floor. They eliminated the passing options. They didn't give up a bunch of points in transition off of turnovers. And so some of the things that we're accustomed to seeing energizing the Longhorns didn't happen tonight. And I've heard heard Vic Schaefer talk about this group, sometimes getting ahead of themselves and how that can be to their detriment. Tonight, I don't think they got to the right pace at all, really, tonight.
Absolutely, and we did talk about it, just like Monica said. I don't have much additive information there, but we already were worried, a little bit concerned about Texas's offense going into the game. And so going into a team where we know that has perimeter shooting in UCLA, how could Texas match that? They didn't.
Yeah, if we have the highlight, I'd love to be able to throw to it, because I do know that we've got a ton here to get to. Just talking about how that Texas team was stifled, because you both mentioned it. It wasn't just their own poor shooting, it was what was happening from the UCLA end here. But I'll wait to hear if we're going to be able to play that highlight. Angela Dugalich, the Big Ten sixth player of the year, just coming through these incredible moments for UCLA. So we'll put a bow on it. UCLA moving on. They beat Texas 51-44. They advance to their first ever national championship. It's incredible for a school that has that many national titles in so many different sports. For women's basketball to now be getting in on the action is absolutely incredible. All right, so time now for Connections That Matter, presented by AT&T, and we had some drama unfold.
Yes, we did.
Pre-game for South Carolina against Uconn.
Shut up.
Came to a head once again when the whistle blew. Here is video now of Dawn Staley and Geno Auriemma. This is the post-game handshake. Dawn deflecting questions about the interaction with Geno. She said repeatedly, those are questions for Geno. So Monica, when you're watching this, what's going through your mind?
What are they saying? What's that about? Now, mind you, this exchange happened, and the officials ruled that there was, I believe, 0.2 left on the clock after this happened. For all that these coaches represent in terms of being legends in the game of women's basketball, that is out of character, right? And as things have evolved post-game, Geno is out of character, and in my mind, in the wrong in this one. But I tell you what, you guys, and shout out to our colleague Andrea Carter on the traditional linear side. She called it like, we're talking more about that than the fact that South Carolina flat out outplayed UConn.
And I think that was something that, I mean, obviously you go in confidently, but it was a little unexpected. The whole world was rooting for UConn. It seemed like South Carolina had the chip on their shoulder. They came out, they laid it all on the floor. Dawn Staley was saying how they need to lay it all on the floor. It is time now. And it discombobulated it all. You know, Geno Auriemma has been very candid about his relationship with AZ and how much he believes in her, and knowing that this is her senior year, her last chance to play. But that is the beauty of March Madness. You know your seniors are going to go on and move on. And I know AZ was very shaken up about it. This is not how she wanted to end her career. But when it's all said and done, this was a heated exchange. It's the height of competition. These are both storied programs, great cultures, ones that have been here before. They both expect to win. They both expect excellence, and one has to lose. And I think that the feeling of that loss kind of took over in that moment.
For sure.
Two giants in the coaching game, and it is South Carolina moving on to the national championship. You heard Dawn Staley say, these are questions for Geno Auriemma.
Ask Geno Auriemma.
So in the post-game press conference, these were the questions that were asked of Geno Auriemma about his post-game interaction with Dawn Staley.
Hey, Coach, Doug Fomberg, the AP. What exactly happened in the end of the game there in the last second with the handshake line with you and Dawn?
I said what I had to say, and nothing. Nothing. For 41 years, I've been coaching, and I've been, I don't know, 25 Final Fours. And the protocol is, before the game, you meet at half court. Anybody ever see that before? Two coaches meet at half court, and they shake hands. Correct? You ever see it? They announce it on the loudspeaker. And I waited there for like 3 minutes. So it is what it is.
So what Geno Auriemma was alluding to there was a pre-game handshake, a tradition that happens between head coaches, and he said he was waiting at half court for about 3 minutes, and he was heated post-game, but this was not the only time where those emotions overflowed. Let's check out his fourth quarter interview with Holly Rowe, talking about how he felt the game was being officiated and how Dawn Staley was handling the officials as well.
Well, Coach, a kind of wild turn of events. Sarah Strong's jersey is split right down the middle. I saw you speaking to the refs about it. What message did you try to convey?
Right. There were 6 fouls called that quarter, all of them against us. And they've been beating the out of our guys down there the entire game. And I'm not making excuses because we haven't been able to make a shot. But this is ridiculous. their coach rants and raves on the sideline and calls the referee some names you don't want to hear. And now we get 6-0, and I got a kid with a ripped jersey, and they go, I didn't see it. Come on, man. This is for the national championship.
17 fouls called on Uconn, 8 on South Carolina. Geno, Auriemma not happy with the discrepancy there. And Lisa Leslie with a big congratulatory tweet to Dawn Staley and the South Carolina women's basketball team on an outstanding game plan executed to perfection. And she took issue with what Geno did. She said it's a real shame that Geno took the low road. We've all have to lose with class.
Yeah.
Monica, how do you think that South Carolina, Dawn Staley, whatever it was, seemed to get under Geno's skin? Because yes, he's fiery. We haven't seen that before.
Well, I feel like South Carolina's defensive game plan was flawless, to Lisa Leslie's credit. And that's what Dawn Staley decided to focus her post-game press conference on, the ability of this team to disrupt an offense that had flowed so well throughout the season, obviously clicked at such a high cylinder. South Carolina made Uconn have to put the ball on the floor and took away their catch-and-shoot opportunities. Every time Sarah Strong got ready to go to the paint, she was met with the body. Every time AZ Fudd was trying to get free for a screen, they was up on my girl like this, right? Like they were locked into the game plan. I'm sorry, friend. Dawn Staley, she talked to us about being in the gaps and the help defense. Because of how well they can shoot the basketball, oftentimes the scheme is, okay, dribble, penetrate. When the help comes, then we'll kick. But South Carolina did a great job of eating up all those opportunities. Guys, some of the numbers that stand out, 18-8 in turnovers. That's Huskies 18, Gamecocks 8 turnovers. Then you look at the paint points, and that was a key that we highlighted pregame, 34-20. And so I will say this with confidence, Courtney, none of this is a story if the score looked different.
Yeah. And I would just add to that, I'm just looking at the stat sheet right now, just the efficiency and how they were operating from deficit versus just positives. Just net positive was South Carolina. Dawn Staley did emphasize the fact that they were able to stop the pass-first type of basketball play.
So what happened post-game, obviously, was the story, but the real story was what happened on the floor that we're standing on here in the desert. Let's take a look at the highlight from earlier tonight. It was this clash of titans. Starting out, Geno, Dawn shaking hands or not before the game. See, look, that was kind of a shake. At least there's video evidence of it. Uconn, Sarah Strong starting off hot, hit back-to-back shots as Uconn went on an early 7-0 run. But as the first quarter came to a close, it was Agat McKeer hitting the three to tie it up at 15. Right here, out from deep, that is McKeer, the 15-15 ending the first quarter. Second quarter now, Sarah Strong make the most of her next few shots, but she would struggle from the field for most of the game. An uncharacteristically poor shooting night for the Uconn Star.
Hold on, Courtney, because Sarah Strong was 4 of 16 from the field.
AZ Fudd, 3 of 15.
Yeah, like that, very uncharacteristic. South Carolina managed to speed this defense up and make it completely inefficient.
And you know what's funny, because when you have two players, we talked about the depth of Connecticut, but when you have both of your star players disoriented like that, it's not a recipe to win.
All right, third quarter now. It is a tie game. South Carolina takes the lead from Raven Johnson there. And then the next play, once again, McKeer, long two.
This freshman was ready on both sides of the floor.
Okay, watch out now. She was saying, hey, I'm not a freshman anymore. I'm at the end of the season, honey.
To their credit, the Huskies did make a push. This was a sequence. They got 3 consecutive threes, and they brought this thing to a 1-point ball game. But in turn, the Gamecocks did an excellent job of responding.
All right, jumping ahead now to the fourth quarter. Strong coming to life, hitting another 3. And on the other end here, it was McKeer for the bucket, driving to the finish. And this is where South Carolina started to pull away and show their dominance in what eventually was a 62-48 win for the Gamecocks. The last-ditch effort from Uconn down the stretch would not be enough. A lot of emotions, a lot of tears, a team that had accomplished so much throughout their time as a unit. And obviously these teams look different year to year. There will be no more AZ Fudd for this Uconn team beyond this season. But South Carolina moving on. They beat Uconn 62-48. And
the edit, shout out to the
edit is incredible, putting the Gamecock logo over Paige Beckers, who I believe has a one-finger salute for how she feels.
Gotta replace the bird. Gotta cover up the bird.
A bird with a bird. And then we have like
Wow, I love this.
Stewie and Alicia Gray over here, and then Alicia and Asia conspiring together.
I love it.
She said,
I don't want to talk about that either. Okay, so let's figure out how this happened.
Yeah.
And it started, the story of the first half, Ari, was South Carolina's defense taking UConn out of the rhythm. Monica mentioned it. The Sarah Strong numbers, 4 of 16 tonight. AZ Fudd, 3 of 15. When your 2 stars are taken out of the game from the very jump, it's kind of hard to find your way back in.
You know, I just keep thinking of the word disruptive, and this might be a little bit redundant when we talk about the defense because we've already covered the defense, right? But South Carolina has been so locked in. I want to go into the theme of locked in. Don Staley said they have been so locked in that she actually let them decide whether or not they wanted to watch film yesterday.
Have film study, yep.
And Raven Johnson said, no, we're doing it. And so just being able to really study, they credited Coach Mary on her scout and how to adjust defensively and really listen to her during the game. And so it just started from start to finish. They were locked in.
Yeah, but in addition to that, and as we got to hear from Don Staley postgame, she talked about the things that haunt her, even though she's now been to 4 or 5 Final Fours, Final Fours. She mentioned the last time that these two teams met and how she just tossed out a number 25. Like, they got whooped pretty bad by the Huskies. But she thought that this group, as much as we will praise this defensive effort, especially when you look at what they were able to do on the glass, like Tanaya Latson with a double-double with 11 rebounds and 16 points is fantastic. But as much as you will praise the defense, she said she felt like this group had enough firepower to keep up with the offense that has been the behemoth of the Uconn Huskies all season long.
And one player off the bench who did that, Ari, was Agat McKeer.
That's exactly what I was about to allude to.
The freshman to be trusted in that moment, 14 points on Friday night. Walk us through this, because Dawn trusting a freshman in that moment.
Yeah, so it's funny because the postseason, she's been really stepping up. And we asked her in the postgame presser, hey, how do you find this confidence that you can be this player for this team? She said, I approach the tournament like every other game, and I play my role. She needed to step up. She knew the stakes were very high. She threw out the fact that she's her first year, right? She has now gone a full season. This is not like December, right?
Yeah. She's not a freshman anymore.
Yeah. And then I love the praise that Raven always gives her. It's like, that's my freshie. This is exactly why she was recruited to South Carolina.
Yeah, love it.
All right, so Raven Johnson, we know that she was locked down on the offensive end. Obviously, her defense played a big role in tonight's win for the South Carolina Gamecocks. I want to play a piece of sound from Tanaya Latson because she was talking about the feeling that she felt watching this game last year when she was not a South Carolina Gamecock, because she and Raven Johnson are so close. The emotion she felt for her good friend and the decision to come to South Carolina now has Tanaya Latson playing in a national championship game. Here's what she had to say about that decision post-game.
What challenge did it present going from the role you had at your former institution to making the adjustment and sacrificing to get here?
Just staying level-headed, remembering my why and why I came here, my purpose, in my decision. I feel like I was really confident in coming to South Carolina. I still am, and I wouldn't change anything. I would 100% do it again. I mean, my role obviously changed, but I didn't let that affect me. I mean, at the end of the day, I knew why I came here, and it was to play in a national championship and win it.
Just to piggyback off that, she said that Raven called her and said, do you want to win? And that obviously you trust your best friend, right? And so she came to South Carolina to win. And then she said, I don't regret it. I bet you don't.
No, why would you?
You're playing in a championship game.
If the why was to get to the championship, well, you have arrived.
And that happened with 11 rebounds, 10 were defensive, and 16 points total. So she was out there hustling. She said, I don't care about the size of the paint. I'm getting this. I'm not going to let you get a second chance. No second chances around here.
All right, let's flip it to the UConn side briefly. I know that AZ Fudd, we just mentioned the stats, 3 of 15. That's the way that she goes out. And Geno said something during media availability on Thursday that stuck with me. He said if we win on Friday, if we go on and win Sunday, she's going to go off into the sunset and she'll be feeling great about herself. But if they don't have a chance to play on Sunday, which they do not, she's going to feel like this was a disappointing year for her. Obviously, we know everything that AZ Fudd has accomplished during her time at UConn. She's going to go on, have a great WNBA career. But how will you both remember her UConn career?
Ooh. It's a tough question to answer on the spot, Court. I'll be honest, I need a little time to marinate on it, only because the tradition of measuring Huskies is in how many rings you hoist, or how many trophies you hoist, ultimately. I think when I think of the last few Huskies, the most recent Huskies that captivated the nation's attention, Paige Beckers was a part of that group, and AZ was a part of that group that brought them back to the promised land after a couple of years in the wilderness, if you will, by their program's standards. AZ had a chance to be one of few teams that have gone back-to-back and been undefeated to do so. I believe there's 3 teams that have done it for that group. Now she did have a great season last year and was a part of hoisting that trophy. I still think she goes down as one of the greats, but Geno's absolutely right. Like, she didn't start this season to be the team that fell short of the championship game, and in a program that is registered and measured, rather, by their championships, I think that is a tough pill to swallow.
I think of the dynamic journey that she's had. She's faced a lot of injury. She's had to work in tandem with another superstar that's faced injury as well. And this Uconn team that she was a part of for the past few years has had its ups and downs. And synonymous with AZ is pure shooter. And I hope that she doesn't let the past few games impact how her entire collegiate perspective, because she's been so useful for them in the perimeter, right? She's been so much of an offensive threat. No matter who you are, you can recognize the fact that AZ Fudd is a three-point shooter, and we remember it from Steph Curry's camp years ago, and she just lit it up. And she changed the game for Connecticut in a way with a resurgence. But I hope that she observes the journey that she's had that was not linear and appreciates all the moments in between that, because she has a long career ahead of her.
That's a great perspective.
Yeah, she will be drafted into the WNBA in the not-too-distant future, one of the many players from this NCAA tournament that will find their way into the pros. And I know it ends on a sour note for her, but it was such an incredible career coming back from injury. When we talked to her parents before the game tonight, just all that she overcame to get to this moment, to play in multiple Final Fours, and then to have a chance to win a national championship last year. All right, let's take a look at some legendary moments presented by Miller Lite. Monica, I'm going to let you take this one here because I know that you were absolutely feeling Tania Latson on Friday.
Yeah, you could pick the last couple of free throws that she shot, or you could just pick any basket in tonight's contest. She was my X factor going into the game, and this is, in fact, a legendary performance. We just talked about the scope of these young women's career. Y'all, she was practically a 30-point scorer at her last institution when she was at Florida State. She talks so honestly and candidly about sacrificing all of that and her why being to get to the national championship game. Now, it just so happened that tonight her number was called in terms of a productive line that looks more like of her old institution with the double-double of 16 and 11. But she said of those boards, I knew that we had to have those because I wanted to go to the championship.
I judge an athlete off of how they can ebb and flow with what the team needs. And when you go to South Carolina, you know this is going to be a program that prepares you for the pros, and one that will make you a better all-around player, and I think she achieved that. We know she can score. Yeah. That's been proven. But tonight, she held it down on the boards. Tonight, she held it down with her just steady production throughout the entire game. And so when she walks away from this program, whether that be with a championship or not, she should be proud of the growth that she's had.
It was funny because it was Agat McKeer who said it was our bigs who crashed the boards. And, oh, by the way, Tania wanted to get in on the action, too. And she did. And she did. All right, let's spin it forward now to Sunday's game, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time out here in the desert. It will be South Carolina, and it will be UCLA pregame. We said that our national champion was going to be, the two of us said UCLA. Yeah. Monica said UConn.
No, y'all did. You made that up. Everybody said UConn. Don't listen to what Courtney just said. They just trying to clean it up now.
We can roll the tape. Just like all of the videos that are surfacing of Dawn and Geno, we have receipts. We have receipts. But now that we look forward to this, like Dawn Staley's 3-1 in national championship games. Her only loss came 2025 against Uconn. I know that she said that 2023 game still haunts her. Ari, what do you make of Dawn Staley going up against Corey Close in this game?
I actually might give South Carolina the edge.
Based on the 2 games we saw tonight.
I might just give them the edge. This program has been here. This program has been a part of national championships. They know how to handle themselves. They have the discipline. They have the seniority. And though Lauren Betts and Kiki Rice are great seniors, I just feel like Raven Johnson has the edge because she's so winning. She's a winning point guard. When you have a winning point guard on this level to help the entire team get mentally locked in and just a program with a storied past of national championships, I have to automatically give you the edge. But then when we saw tonight, they can produce both ends. I mean.
What was the final score of the second game? 50-something?
51-44.
51 points is not.
Yeah, it's not going
to. Based on what we saw tonight, 51 points is not going to beat South Carolina.
And South Carolina is a defensive team, too. So
right.
You're going to have to learn how to be productive.
So what is Sunday? Is Sunday the first 55? I mean,
these are good. Gracious. So Agat Makir played a terrific game, but I also think Medina Okot had some pivotal baskets at different points, but because of the decision by Uconn to go small, Makir had a better game. I don't know that UCLA will opt to go small because they do so much around Lauren Betts, and so that insert Medina Okot. So I think that could be a big game. That could be a big-time X factor. I think Tanaya Latson is a scorer, a professional scorer, and Raven Johnson is performing at a level that makes me think about her as a WNBA point guard. On the other end, though, Kiki Rice is going to have a WNBA opportunity, as is Lauren Betts. Now, for those guys, can their role players step up as effectively as the South Carolina role players stepped up tonight? And that's not just offensively. That is making sure they're locked in on their defensive game plans as well.
I'm just looking at the matchup in the paint.
Yeah,
no,
that's what, 6-7 versus 6-7, I think. I think it's a pretty even matchup.
And I didn't want to end this show without talking about Lauren Betts because I still have that image in my mind of her on that end. Well, of course. I mean, that. Thank goodness she's okay. Thank goodness she's okay after hitting her head down there. But down there on that other end is when she stopped Madison Booker. That was a 3-point game. It was 47-44 at that point. If you look at the matchup down low, like Ari was alluding to, who do you give the edge to? Kind of feels hard not to give that to UCLA and Lauren Betts, given what we've seen throughout this tournament, but also tonight.
I think based on tonight, UCLA, and we said this pregame, is the better three-point shooting team, and so they're going to have the opportunity to create a little bit more space. I think South Carolina, I'd probably give the South Carolina the edge when it comes to a team that can get into the paint off 2 feet and penetrate. The other thing was we talk about South Carolina is we're talking about a Kurt because of the size, but you really got Joyce Edwards that you have to consider at that 4 position in terms of taking up space in the paint. Do we see, because tonight, in the first game, we didn't actually see as much Joyce Edwards versus Sarah Strong as I thought we would. We saw a little bit more of Makir and Kurt matching up on Edwards. So do we see South Carolina trying to take advantage of their tweeners, right, versus UCLA's bigs, and what does that look like on the flip side of that as well?
Absolutely.
All right, so taking a look one more time here, the championship game coming up on Sunday. It's UCLA and it's South Carolina. Give me an X factor for both teams. Like, I know that we did this before, whether it's physicality, whether it's a unit, whether it's post play, whether it's 3-point shooting. What gets it done for UCLA? What gets it done for South Carolina? Monica, let's start with the Bruins.
UCLA has to be able to shoot off the bounce because I think we're going to see a little bit of copy and paste from what South Carolina looked to do to Uconn. We heard Don Staley use the word disruptive in that one, and so I think they're going to try the same thing versus UCLA. But if they can use their dribble penetration to still create space and make the Gamecocks pay if they're not in gaps so that their 3-point shooters can hit, that's going to create pressure and create space for Lauren Betts to go to work in the paint.
And I think when you think about like defensively standing to Lauren Betts, you have to frustrate her early because the second that she gets frustrated early, that kind of dismantles the initial game plan for UCLA. And so if South Carolina can just play that stifling defense that they know that they can do, I think it's great.
All right, the South Carolina X factor is?
The South Carolina X factor, based on what we've seen tonight, I think it's going to be, I'm going to give it 2 players, a player tandem. I think it's Raven Simone. I think it's going to be Joyce Edwards. Okay. I think Edwards
Raven Johnson.
I'm sorry, Raven Johnson. I apologize. Raven Simone.
You see into the future.
You see me into the future.
Shout out to
Thank you for catching me. Jeez. Raven Johnson. I apologize. Raven Johnson and Joyce Edwards. Okay. And here's why. I love the confidence that Okira is playing with, but she's a little bit leaner. And I think when you're going to have to battle Betts, I think this is a game where Joyce Edwards has the ability to take advantage of her foot speed and her strength in that combination. And then, of course, Raven Johnson just keeps everything steady for this group. And she's going to have to deal with a tenacious defensive squad in terms of getting them into their sets and helping them take advantage of easy baskets in transition if they present themselves.
You've heard me say this whole thing, exactly what Monica said. So I'm looking to see Joyce maintain. I'm not going to say step up to maintain how she's been playing in this postseason.
Yeah, I didn't think she played poorly today.
No.
She just didn't have the brightest
Yeah,
game.
of course, of course.
And I know that we're not getting ahead of ourselves here thinking about the WNBA draft, but it is so wild to think about this UCLA lineup, the starting five. This is their last opportunity together. The pressure of that moment, but also the privilege of playing in that moment, knowing that you're about to start your pro career. You'd like to end it with a championship, hoisting it, cutting down the nets here at Mortgage Matchup Center on Sunday. I can't imagine what that feels like now as you go through one day of scout, you go through one day of film to then be able to avenge what happened last year when they came up short, as did South Carolina, but South Carolina at least made it to the title game. The feeling for those UCLA players, Ari, I cannot imagine how incredible that feels, but also how you have to channel that going into Sunday.
Yeah, but also this is exactly what March or April is about. Right. This is your last chance.
Yep.
Both teams, nobody is going to play after Sunday. So I don't know. You can't really think too far ahead. If you ask them, they're going to say, we're not focused on the WNBA draft right now. We're focused on the now. They have a goal in mind, and that's a national championship, and neither team is going to be satisfied unless they cut down that net.
Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, we've had such an incredible week here out in Phoenix. From seeing 4 teams become 2. We will have a champion crowned here on Sunday. I guess, real quick, final game picks. Who you got? South Carolina, UCLA.
Golly. Based on tonight's contest, I'm struggling to pick against South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina, I think that they just have they've just been here. They just know how to win.
Experience, yeah.
The experience factor, obviously, there. I'm going to stick with my bracket pick. I picked UCLA a month ago.
Either way, I'm winning. Okay.
We're all going to be winning.
My bracket is looking great.
We're all going to be winning because it is the incredible moments that we have experienced throughout March, now into early April. We're going to have some great basketball here for you on Sunday, and we're going to be recapping it all here on the wrap-up. This has been the wrap-up presented by AT&T. For Monica McNutt, Ari Chambers, I'm Courtney Cronin. Thanks for watching. We'll be back Sunday morning previewing everything going into the Women's National Championship.